Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 30 today for the French Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. Very much one you don't want to miss at the Canadian GP, that's all I'll say. But into the French Grand Prix, we're met with utter disappointment here, as all three of our upgrades have failed on the car. The ultimate air upgrade, the drag reduction upgrade, the front downforce, which was minor, and then the minor engine power, I think it was. But the ultimate upgrade was the one that I was most pissed off at, that failed, but all three failed on a weekend where I thought, okay, hang on, we could have a massive upgrade. Instead, we've turned up and we've been left embarrassed now because we're not even in the top 4 anymore on paper in the R&D graph. We're P5 now. McLaren have done what I thought we were going to do and do absolute bits. They've climbed from what was, I think, 5th place, or I think even below Renault, to now 2nd place on the R&D chart. Look how close they are to Mercedes now. The gap from ourselves to McLaren is the gap that McLaren have now to Mercedes. So are McLaren now going to be officially the second best team on the grid, the ones to take the challenge to Mercedes? I'm not too sure. We'll have to see how it actually pans out in reality, of course, because this is the first time McLaren is going to be in this position, so you never know how the AI are going to perform, how Perez and Norris will perform. But for us then, that's a little bit annoying, with Ferrari and Red Bull now still kind of keeping ahead of us there. But of course, last time out, we had a very strong race, and we showed that we can take the fight to Mercedes if things go our way. So let's see. France was a bit of a difficult one last season. I remember the race being a bit of a tough one in terms of we made a 2-stop versus some other people trying a 1-stop there. This time around, I'm not too sure how it's going to go, but in terms of the actual pace, the car suiting the track, the long back straight should be pretty good. We've also got a lot more downforce than we had this time last season, so I'm still in high spirits, but just a little bit irked that we don't have those 3 upgrades to come in for this weekend. But alas, we have to push on forward. We're going to have to unfortunately spend a lot of our resource points now to repurchase those upgrades, which is kind of the most annoying thing really of everything. But like I said, we can't do much now. It's already happened. We can't go backwards in the career mode save or anything like that and redo it all. So let's just go on then into Saturday and see how we do over one lap around Paul Ricard and see where we stand compared to now Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, and apparently McLaren in the mix potentially.
Welcome to qualifying for this weekend's French Grand Prix. The teams are making their last-minute adjustments before the lights go green and the fight for pole position gets underway. With me is Anthony Davidson. We've spoken at length about qualification in the past, track conditions, the competition, setups and so forth. But really, at the end of the day, it's down to a perfect or near-perfect run with no mistakes.
Indeed, Crofty. After all is said and done, it's down to the individual to deliver the best performance possible. The drivers love it though. It's their first real pressure of the weekend, so they're super focused and ready to give it everything they've got. It's good to get the competition going.
So you join us in the last sector of our first final lap in Q1 then. A little bit overcast it is right now, Paul Ricard. So there was also maybe some forecast of rain potentially at the very end of this qualifying day. So we'll see how that goes into Q3. But maybe the sun will be coming out for Q2 at least, where it matters in terms of getting to the top 10. But right now we're just trying to get through this session, of course, past P15, which shouldn't be a problem, I would think, as we go across the line up into P4 there. And it won't be an issue for us. We stay there in just about in P5. But Sergio Perez then, P4 in the McLaren. So already maybe showing some of that McLaren new pace, although Lando Norris was quite off the pace and he only finished up in P14, I think that was, with Alfa Romeo Racing in P12, so respective teammates not doing so well. So we'll see. Like I said, it's the case, it's been a classic thing in F1 career mode in the last 3 years, ever since the R&D chart got so complicated, that sometimes the on-paper, on-chart performance doesn't exactly translate to the real-life, actual on-track thing when we get racing. So I'm just a bit skeptical of McLaren being right up there, but if they are, it would be a madness. But right now, they haven't shown their true colours yet. As we go across the line, P6 then in our Q2 lap time, that is, and we do get through into Q3. Kimi finally steps up a little bit more, and that qualifies me there that time to get into the top 10 shootout. And the McLarens are just about where we are then, P8 and P10. So rather than being right up there challenging Mercedes cars, it seems like they're maybe more challenging us, which is kind of a bit more annoying in a way, because of course then that means they're going to be in our way potentially during the race. We'll have to see. But right now the Ferraris still seem the ones that are maybe trying to push on, and also the Red Bull, I assume, into Q3. We'll see how close they can get to Mercedes. But as we go through now on our first one lap in the top 10 shootout, then trying to do the best job we can. Obviously, to start the grid, everyone was on the soft tire, so no one decided to do anything fancy with the Q2 tyre, so really don't need to worry about that. We just try and do the best job we can across the line. It wasn't a brilliant lap, I didn't think personally. We're in P3 there, but I think we can gain some more time, especially in Sector 1 and onto the last sector potentially as well. You can see already through the first few turns getting some time as we go through that left and then right there. Quite flowing actually. I actually didn't find it that flowing in Season 1, but now with some extra downforce on the car, actually goes quite well. As we go into the second sector though, we're going to lose some time with a massive lock up on the front right there. It doesn't look like a lot, but I scrubbed off a lot of speed trying to slow down the car enough to make that chicane. And so you can see we've lost all the time we gained on the bottom, on the top right there. We gained some time back through the last few corners, but then lose a little bit as we go through the last corner. And in the end, it's going to be a negative time. So we don't improve on our first lap there. So we're still P4 at the moment, but as we go to the end of the session, we're down to P6, Raikkonen P8 though, so at least we out-qualify our teammate there, and we split the two Ferraris of Vettel and Leclerc, and it's not the McLarens that are the ones challenging Mercedes, it is going to be the two Red Bulls that align astern in P3 and P4. Surprising to see Norris and Perez kind of, well, off the pace a little bit to where I thought they would have been in P9 and 10, but maybe the laps in, maybe the upgrades they've done will show more in the race. I'm not too sure, we can only guess here, but P6 for us, a little bit disheartening, you know, coming off the back of what was such a strong Canadian Grand Prix, but to be expected. Paul Ricard's a very different circuit to Canada, so let's just try the best that we can do in the race. I think it'll be quite an interesting one if Season 1's anything to go by, so let's go to the grid.
Hello and welcome to the Circuit Paul Ricard, current home of the French Grand Prix, an event dating all the way back to 1906. It's been held at many venues over the years, with famous moments from Dijon and Manicourt the feature of many a highlights reel. And let's hope we see more of those in the race today. 6 lefts and 9 rights give us a total of 15 corners here at the Circuit Paul Ricard, and a lap covers an overall distance of 3.6 miles. Average speeds will be somewhere in the region of 142 miles per hour, and they'll be maxing out on the Mistral Straight at around 205 miles per hour. Joining me for the Grand Prix once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the engineer. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
They've been avoiding mistakes and have had solid pace, so it's been a good season so far, but whether they can keep that up long term remains to be seen.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Gasly, Sebastian Vettel, the engineer, Leclerc, Raikkonen, Norris, and Sergio Perez, Butler, Hülkenberg, Daniel Ricciardo, and Faber, Grosjean, Magnussen, Alexander Albon, and Robert Kubica, Giovinazzi, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So here we are then on the grid. I can head to our strategy for the race today. It will be a 2-stop, like I mentioned. Everyone pretty much qualified on the soft tire, I'm pretty sure. So everyone should be doing this kind of strategy. There may be a few people outside the top 10 that start on mediums and try a 1-stop onto hards like I did last season. But unlike last season, I think this time we'll have the pace so where that won't be much of an issue in terms of people actually legit jumping us this time around in the race. So let's just get into this then and go towards 5 red lights to the French Grand Prix. A very good race last time. Let's see what we can do this time in France. 4 lights are out and we're underway. It's an okay start for us, a much better one there for Leclerc as he tries to attack us. We're going to cut across him and try and stop that attack though into turn 1. Long run there, taking it nice and easy though into the actual apex, and it's 3 wide between the two Red Bulls and Vettel. They're going to squeeze each other off nearly off circuit there. Gasly makes some contact with Verstappen, and that's allowed me to shoot it to the inside there, so that's why I took it so patient into turn 1, pretty much just seeing where I could find some room. But now side by side with Sebastian Vettel, who's done very well indeed to be on my outside there as we go through the double right-hander, the very awkward off-camber long right-hander this is onto the back straight. Right now it's still 1-2 for Mercedes then. Verstappen 3rd place, but I'm up into 4th. I've only just realised that's P4 actually there. I thought it was still something like P5 or 6, but no, it's actually P4, so pretty damn good start actually. As meanwhile behind, Leclerc attacks Raikkonen in the background there as we maintain that position against Sebastian Vettel. Looking behind there, you can see Leclerc going a long way around on the outside, turns to the inside for the next right-hander, but Raikkonen keeps his elbows out, and a little bit of contact made on that front right. Meanwhile, the two McLarens are side by side, so yet to really come alive after that mega R&D improvement into this race weekend. And Raikkonen going on the outside of that nearly flat out right-hander at this point in the race with heavier fuel. Little lift off maybe needed, and Raikkonen's gets squeezed out by Leclerc, unfortunately, so he's still down there in I think what is around P8 or 7. Meanwhile, up in front, Verstappen is still applying the pressure, actually, surprisingly. So Verstappen looking very good indeed after getting Gasly and Vettel into turn 1. Now pressurizing Hamilton, who in turn is trying to pressurize Valtteri Bottas for first place in this GP right now. And let's try and join them if we can, but Vettel is going to alter poise, a bit of a threat to me, and into turn 2. Little bit hot, and the rear end steps out. We massively have to slow the car down and just about keep it on the black stuff there and keep it within the white lines. That's going to allow Vettel to have a jump maybe on the outside. Once again, we go defensive, but Vettel is so good under braking there and manages to find some space. We have to give him some room as he jostles for position with the Gasly's out of this Grand Prix now there, so one less car to worry about in the top 10 fight. But Vettel's got me as there's a little bit of a brake check there as Vettel cuts across the racing line, and so we're down to P5, but we're going to come swinging back through immediately. No DRS, but look at the speed we've got in a straight line there. So we may not have that ultimate drag reduction update, but the engine updates we've had so far this season anyway are proving to be very, very decent there. And so we're back into P4, and now we can try and continue to chase after that P3 and join that fight with the Red Bull and the two Mercs. And we will do as we start to drop Vettel then in the next few laps. And actually Vettel's already been overtaken, this is, by Leclerc. So Leclerc now is the lead Ferrari, and Raikkonen is going ahead and overtaking. He's done it. He's overtaken Vettel. So Vettel with a major now issue in this first stint. Maybe tyre wear just massively going off, maybe it looks like there. Meanwhile, you got Verstappen still third place, but now the two Mercedes have swapped round there. Bottas is second place, Hamilton is first. Unfortunately, don't have a clip for you guys to show how that swap was made, but the two Mercs have swapped positions there, and so Hamilton once again leads a Grand Prix in Season 2 of this career mode. But moving back to our race and POV on towards lap number 5, Leclerc is now the other Ferrari applying pressure to us to the inside. He's got DRS available, and we're nowhere near Verstappen to get any sort of DRS advantage here, so really instead of looking forward, I'm having to look back just because everyone's got some decent pace behind me, and I just can't quite match the pace of the two Mercs and the Red Bull quite yet. But Leclerc, this is going to be a tasty fight as we come back at him now, down the hill, off turn 2, got a great exit. We're going to squeeze him out very aggressively there, and so this is a very tasty battle brewing with Leclerc, and Raikkonen is also going to join us right in the back of him, so this might be an opportunity to get Raikkonen ahead of Leclerc. We play this right, try and break the toe of Leclerc and allow Raikkonen to slipstream the Ferrari. This may be quite good. We're going to pull to the left-hand side. Leclerc follows us though with DRS open again. We're overtake mode, trying to desperately match him there, but he's going to pull alongside us. We're going to have to try and break as late as we dare to try and defend against him, but he's got the edge, but we squeeze him back into that right-hand side, and we're going to make the corner very tight and awkward for him, and off the exit, a little bit of oversteer as we go over the bump, but we managed to get ahead of him, cut across a little bit. Raikkonen's now coming through, and so as we go back to the racing line, Raikkonen pulls to the outside and tries to go on the outside for the right-hander. He's going to try and do it, and will he make it work to P5? This would be a very good overtake if he makes this work, but Leclerc's got the advantage. He's got the car ahead. He will squeeze Raikkonen out, but Raikkonen gets back in it. He's got the nose in. He dive bombs to the next left-hander, very awkward left-hander, so that's a very difficult corner to make an overtake, but he's making it work as he's now on the outside. He'll turn to the inside for the next left, the second last corner to the last, the right-hander, and it looks like he will just about get ahead. I think that is, as we look at the top left, you can see, no, Leclerc swaps back position, and so those two will continue to fight as we now pull into the pit lane for a very early first pit stop on lap number 5. I thought, you know what, these tyres, I think they're going off a little bit. That's why I'm unable to get, through and get away from Leclerc, from Raikkonen and Vettel, and why I can't chase after Verstappen and Hamilton. So I thought, let's try the undercut here, and let's try and see what we can do on fresh mediums, hopefully in somewhat clean air, and, well, it's better than nothing, basically. It's better than staying in a fight, a three-way fight between the two Ferraris and my teammate. I think we would have lost way more time staying in that battle. So we're P19 now, last on the track, as it were, because Gasly is out of this Grand Prix, but now we just push on with clean air, use some ERS, use some fuel, and we see what we can do as we move on now towards lap number 8. And you can see on the top left, we've already passed Leclerc. The Ferrari are passing right now on the right-hand side there. Sebastian Vettel. So Vettel has managed to jump Leclerc, it would seem, with an overcut strategy, because Leclerc was already actually on track behind me. So we've stayed ahead of Leclerc, but the two Ferraris have swapped. Don't know where Raikkonen is in all this. I think he's gone even longer in this Grand Prix. I think now he's pit by now on lap 12, and he's behind Vettel. So I believe the order is myself, Vettel, Raikkonen, and then Leclerc. But you can see on the minimap, we've gained a lot of time there, physically on the track with that undercut that we had for 1 or 2 laps there. Now we're catching up to Max Verstappen on lap number 12 this is. So a few laps after we pass those Ferraris down the pit lane, and remember, Verstappen was P3 in this GP, chasing after both Mercedes cars. Right now, seemingly, we've bridged that gap because he's been stuck behind this traffic and we've gained so much time on the undercut. Don't know where the Mercedes cars are in all of this, but Verstappen goes for a move on Giovinazzi there in the Haas, and there's going to be a bit of a close squabble. There's a lock-up for the Italian, and so thankfully, we were going a little bit cautiously into that corner, so we're able to just swoop to the inside there and manage to avoid any kind of contact with Gio. And so we catch up now to Verstappen making a move on the Racing Point car through the next flat-out right-hander. Could we try and catch one of these cars napping? Maybe the Racing Point car, as we're there on the inside. Gonna have to go for it on Lance Stroll. Gonna have to send it to the inside and just hope for the best. It's gonna be very close to Stroll. We'll naturally try and cut in, but we're gonna make it work, make ourselves known in the mirrors there, and Stroll gave us the room, thankfully, and so we're up that position and we can continue to try and get a tow off Verstappen and basically just use him as a bit of a line, essentially, a towing line, who would have thought, basically, to pull us along and try and catch up to the Mercedes cars with him, because I would assume he was racing the MERCs right up until the pit stop phases. He's now, we're now past him. He's on the hard tyre, sorry. So I don't know if he is potentially trying a one-stop action in this Grand Prix. We'll have to check in on that. Maybe Red Bull just think they have a lot of tyre wear. I'm not too sure, but he's on hards, so that might suggest a one-stop. We'll have to update you, but we move on then to the end of that lap 13. Kubica comes in, Albon is in, and so we go across the line. Hamilton is indeed ahead of us in P2, and Bottas, I would assume, is in P1. We're up into P3, though, of this Grand Prix. So, actually, Verstappen actually was just the one that lost a lot of time there. The Merc seemed, that gap to the Mercedes cars seems pretty much the same as it was before the first pit stop. So all that's happened is Verstappen got very unlucky with the traffic that he hit with Giovinazzi, etc. And also the fact he's on hard tyres has meant that he's not been too quick. So we move on all the way to lap 16 then for our second pit stop of the afternoon. That entire stint was pretty damn good because, of course, we're on mediums, he's on hards. There was no real chance he was going to try and catch us, really, even if my tyres were going off a little bit. Overall, we started the pace on the faster compounded tyre. So good stuff for us. We made that second pit stop, but there is a massive asterisk of if Verstappen is indeed doing a one-stop, we did not pull a whole pit stop over him there, so he will definitely finish ahead of us, I would think, and he might have a good chance, you know, depending on what the Mercedes cars did, to finish ahead of them. I don't know, I think maybe Max Verstappen has just pulled off a blinder of a strategy here and might just have put himself into a very strong race contention. We'll have to see, But meanwhile for us then, on lap number 17, we're just pushing flat out now, trying to use these fresh mediums to good use and trying to avoid as much traffic as we can, overtaking Grosjean down the inside. We have to make this overtake work. He gets the advantage there initially in the right hand, and we get overall grip mid-apex and are able to overtake him into P9, and now we'll have some clean air to chase after this fight between Devin Butler and Lucas Weber in the Renault. Butler and Weber go side by side as we go through the right hand of the chicane and the back straight in towards sector 3. We're going to get a great exit, good double slipstream there, a little bit from Butler and Weber, and we go on the right hand side, and it's a double pass on those two there. That is a crucial overtake. The fact we got both those guys in one foul swoop and really didn't slow ourselves down there. I mean, that was pretty damn quick. I probably would have been just as quick without those cars if I was in a clean lap as I was just then, because pretty much moving to the right there and getting some tow off Butler really didn't hinder us too much. And now we're going to close up to Kimi Raikkonen there, our teammate, yet to pit for his second pit stop here, so we need to try and get past him. Hopefully he doesn't make it too difficult for us. And then ahead of him is Lando Norris, and then I believe it looks like are the two Mercedes cars who have been caught up in traffic themselves, maybe getting past Raikkonen and Norris, so they have lost some time there. So let's push on, and this could be a very good few next laps in this Grand Prix as we move to the left-hand side. Raikkonen going defensive and then cutting to the racing line, leaves us the door open there, so thank you very much, Kimi. Probably didn't actually make that too difficult for us in hindsight. I thought initially he was trying to defend as hard as he could there, moving to the inside, but instead he left the door open, and now we can close up to Norris. But yeah, look at that. Hamilton is next up in the Merc, and then you've got Bottas just a little bit further ahead. So I think what's happened here is Hamilton and Bottas caught up in this traffic of Norris, Raikkonen, maybe even Butler and Weber, and so they lost time just like Max Verstappen did earlier on in the Grand Prix. The difference is now, though, Verstappen, like I said, I don't think he's going to pit. I think he's going to the end. So right now, he's in a race lead, so he might have a mega strategy in his hands here as we now go ahead and try and overtake Norris with a massive dive to the inside there, and we had to make that work. I had to overtake him. We weren't close enough, I thought, in the brake zone, but I just thought I have to be as late as I can on the brakes, and you know what? The confidence I had there with the car and the tyre wear as well absolutely exquisite stuff there. I had so much, like, it just felt so good to actually nail that apex, nail that corner, and go so late on the brakes there. I was a bit worried. But yeah, here's confirmation. Verstappen is indeed in first place of this Grand Prix, basically, on hard tyres. Then you've got the two Mercs on mediums, like myself. Also, all three of us are on the same two-stop strategy. But Verstappen and Red Bull have done a blinder here and just thought, you know what, let's just go to hard tyres. Why not? It wasn't a recommended strategy on my screen. I didn't even think about it because I just thought, nah, there's no point. I think the two-stop's going to be the faster way to go, starting on the soft tyres. But Verstappen's shown, yeah, he lost some time in the first stint, clearly, because I was actually ahead of him after that first pit stop. So he lost time on that first stint with worn softs, but he stretched those tyres long enough to go onto the hards. And now, instead, it's myself and the two Mercs fighting for a maximum of P2, maybe. And you can see there, Bottas has just been overtaken by Hamilton, lost some time there, both of them scrapping away into turn one. So we're closer and closer. But with this, I think I need to be a little bit patient here and wait for Bottas to actually go and attack Hamilton to try and re-overtake him. Use the two Mercs fighting as a way to maybe get it in, because I think on pure pace, the Mercs should be faster. But here we go. Bottas getting in the slipstream of Hamilton, goes to the move to the inside. Here's our chance maybe to get Hamilton, the championship leader here, to the inside we go. He's slow. He's had to lift off because of Bottas, and now he's going to have to try and defend against us. We're going to go very aggressive with him, squeeze him right off to the edge of the circuit there, but it's our corner. We're fully alongside him. We've got the inside line, so it's our corner to dictate how wide we want to go, and Hamilton doesn't back out that till the last minute there, but he's down into P4 of this GP. We're up into the podium places once again, so good stuff there, but I want more. I want Bottas on lap 22. Look how far back we're coming from. The DRS is working an absolute treat, and our engine power is on full blast. Round the outside we go, leave him some room at the apex, but no need. On the exit, we've got it done, and we're up into P2 of the French Grand Prix. Might not be over there, though, because like I said, on pure pace, I think that Merc should still have the pace to try and attack me. So now it's a defensive drive. That's what we need to do for the rest of this Grand Prix. 5 laps left. Verstappen's 11 seconds ahead. I'm not going to catch that 11 seconds. He's probably got this race win in the bag, so kudos to him for that one-stop strategy. But right now, we're just trying to do the best job we can of maximising this race result of P2. And there you go. Very, very aggressive defensive work there, but fair enough as well from myself. I feel like as we squeeze Bottas out on the outside, he's side by side now with Hamilton as we go down the hill on lap 24. And we're going to hold this through, thankfully, to the last lap of the Grand Prix, through the last sector. Hamilton's still third, but we've got a little bit of breathing room to him. And so it's going to be Max Verstappen there on the top left. You'll see soon enough he's going to come through to win the French Grand Prix. So it's the second time now in a row Hamilton has not won a Grand Prix in Season 2. Have I started the floodgates? Is this the start of the Hamilton dominance ending the Mercedes dominance as Verstappen wins the race, but we come home in a pretty damn strong second place, which I'll very much take, I think.
Yes, that's a podium. Excellent drive. The team have worked especially hard this weekend, and this is a fantastic reward.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they certainly stood out as a drive with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they secured here.
So there we have it. Max Verstappen wins the French Grand Prix, and so that's a second race in a row that Hamilton is not on the top step. So like I said right there at the very end of the race, could that be finally the duck broken and Hamilton will no longer be winning every single Grand Prix? And is the Mercedes dominance over in the season? We'll have to see. Time will tell, but I've beaten both Mercs today as well, which was very surprising, but they actually surprisingly lacked some pace there at the end. I don't know what it was, but you know, once I got past both of them, I expected more of a challenge, but they really didn't come knocking too much. I don't know if the tyres went off. I mean, certainly Bottas was nowhere near Hamilton then afterwards. So, yeah, very, very odd. But, yeah, great for us, obviously. You know, great news. And so we continue on the good effort. Obviously, it's not quite the first place from last race, but it's still second. And it means we can go into these contract negotiations with a strong head of getting level 3 on every single bit of the contract. Although, unfortunately, obviously, with improved results means that the team want improved results. So I had to go a little bit higher on their demands from me, basically, for every race. So initially, I actually got that failed and eventually had to renegotiate to a bit of a higher position. So they might hold me to a higher standard. But the thing is, we've got all 3 levels on every single part of that contract, basically, you can see on the left-hand side. So that is all good. Unfortunately, though, like we mentioned at the very start, and you might have forgotten about, we have to repurchase all 3 of those upgrades that we had that failed for this episode. So the ultimate aero drag update, the minor front downforce, and then the minor engine power. But that will mean they all come in for next episode, guaranteed, for the Austrian Grand Prix. Power circuit, all about the speed off the corners as well. Straight line speed is going to be mega, hopefully, with the drag reduction update coming in clutch. So next episode could be very, very tasty. And hopefully we make a leap and bound like McLaren made this episode on the R&D graph. But I've got to say, I've got to mention that McLaren, nowhere really to be seen in this episode too much there. So like I said, we've known this now for, you know, many months and 3 games now. The R&D charts sometimes, after you get past season 1, can start to be a little bit blurry in terms of where everyone really is. And they didn't really turn up this race, but it might just be a McLaren, you know, being bad on a French GP circuit kind of thing. We'll have to see how it progresses the rest of this season if they maintain that pace. But guys, if you did enjoy that episode, be sure to smash the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been Alfa. Have a nice day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.